Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. I'm your host, David On Point. Right there is the CEO of Prime Sports World, Mr. Israel Rivera. Welcome into the show, my friends. We're going to be breaking down the remaining teams in the AFC South as we look to preview their offseason Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Also, if you happen to miss us live, you can catch us at a myriad of streaming platforms. I will share the link to that as well. I've also shared the StreamYard link to all of the places. So if you want to join us and talk a little bit Jacksonville Jaguar, Tennessee Titan football, more than welcome to do so. But yeah, please know what you're talking about before you join the show. Izzy, welcome to the show, man. What's up, buddy? What's the good word?
What's going on? The good word is to the good man upstairs. Thank God for another day and another show with my main man, David On Point Hoffman, baby.
Oh, baby. Yeah, we got a lot. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars, one of the surprising teams in the AFC South last season. Many people thought they'd be better with the changing of the coach, but I don't know if many people had them winning the division and winning a playoff game.
Yeah, I didn't expect the Jacksonville Jaguars to be where they were. We kind of saw it in the beginning of the season, where they were, I think they started off they had a big win against San Diego. Los Angeles. They had a couple big wins. They had a couple big wins early on, and we saw the maturity in the of Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yep. Basically grew up right in front of our eyes.
Ability to get better. Yeah, basically he's risen to be a top 10 quarterback in this league, all due to Doug Peterson.
And I think adding those weapons on the offensive side of the ball is going to really help them out. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with this. So let's talk about the Titans first. Is there a team that feels like a little bit in transition here? There's their draft capital right there on the board there. They have all of their own draft picks. They're notable for free agents: Austin Hooper, Mario Edwards, Lonnie Johnson. Their projected cap space, both these teams, shockingly, way under the cap, not even way over the cap. $22 million for the Tennessee Titans. I think the Jaguars are $22 million as well. Mike Vrabel is their coach. They just hired a new GM, Brent Carthon, and Brooke Nihal is the team president. How should the Titans approach the draft?
Well, one thing I think they do need, they need to, get an edge rusher, or some offensive line help. I know that, Taylor Lewan, not Taylor Lewan, but Taylor.
Getting up there in age.
So they're going to
finish hurt the last two seasons. He may become a cap casualty, actually, to be totally honest with you. If they cut him, they'd save $14.8 million. If they cut Ryan Tannehill, they'd save another $17.8 million in cap savings.
I want to see them. If the kid is available, the kid from Northwestern, I would love to see them, grab him, Peter Skoronsky. I don't know if he will be available there. You got another, a good, tackle in Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State that'll be there at where they're drafting. I believe they're drafting the 13th, 11th.
They have the 11th.
Those guys will be there. Yeah, those guys will be there. At least Paris Johnson, I think, will be there. If not, your second biggest need, I honestly believe, is edge rusher. I know Tyree Wilson probably won't be there. We talked about him. He'll probably be a projected top 10 pick. They are going to be getting, Harold Landry back. And Nico Autry is going to be healthy. They are going to be getting Bud Dupree back, who missed a lot of the last season. Right.
Harold Landry, if you remember, was their best edge rusher. Did not play a game this season.
Absolutely. You can never have too many edge rushers, though, David.
It's true. I think the other big issue, is at the skill position. Outside of Derrick Henry, there's nothing really else on this roster that really scares you all that much. It's Nick Westbrook-Akina, Traylon Burks, who's still a second-year player. Robert Woods hadn't really panned out as a draft. Dontrell Hilliard, the backup to Derrick Henry, is a free agent. I don't think they'll bring him back. Hassan Haskins, you saw moments of him where he looked okay. The skill position just isn't there at both sides. I know they did hit a really nice pick on Roger McCreary. He seems like a really good corner, the kid from Auburn. Christopher Fulton kind of really came into his own this season, but they're still kind of waiting for Caleb Farley to kind of pan out into a top flight corner. It doesn't appear that's going to be the case.
Well, I think what I saw out of Treylon Burks last year, I think he can definitely be a number one wide receiver in this league, in that offense. I think he's big. He's in the mold of like an A.J. Brown. He shocked me, especially in the second half of the season. He played really well down the stretch there. My thing is if you can add a compliment too, on the outside, you got a guy like Jordan Addison to be there. Zay Flowers may be a reach just because of his age. I think Zay Flowers is probably outside of maybe Quentin Johnson or whatever. I think he might be the most well-rounded wide receiver in terms of route running and
yeah. But I think that would be a wild reach to take him at 11.
At 11, yes.
Like I do think that they're going to probably go tackle. I think Taylor Lewan has probably played his last game as a Tennessee Titan, and I realize that Tennessee Titans love Taylor Lewan, but I have a feeling they're going to be moving on from him, just based on the cap space, the cap hit. It just makes sense to move on from him.
No, absolutely. I mean, he's like you said, he's been injured the last couple of years. He's getting up there in age. He's in his, he's past his prime. He was a monster.
And I mean, this is a team that needs to get back under the cap as it is. So I can't imagine that they're going to.
The quarterback position too. I mean, I know you drafted Malik Willis, to be the guy. Are you going to roll with Malik Willis? And that could be a storyline actually. One of my storylines here. You don't know what you're going to do at the quarterback position, right? Is it Ryan Tannehill or is it Malik Willis? Do you put your eggs in that basket?
I mean, I would personally, I think it's time to move on from Ryan Tannehill. I think you've done everything you're going to do with Ryan Tannehill as your starting quarterback. Do I think Malik Willis is the guy? We don't really know. We haven't seen him do anything in the NFL. And nope. He was at Liberty, and we haven't really. I mean, he got thoroughly outplayed by Joshua Dobbs when they did play in games. But I think you have to figure out what you have in this kid. You're not going to have an opportunity to take a quarterback at 11 unless you really reach for like the kid from Stanford, or if you wanted to take Hidden Hooker, which was that would be a wild reach too.
You can get that. You can get that in the second round. Honestly, to be honest, that's something that you can reach for in the second round. When I look at that situation, man, I just think when I look at that situation, I just think of this, right? Yeah, I think it might be time to move on from Ryan Tannehill. And at this point, I mean, you're right. You didn't see Malik Willis. The playbook wasn't open for him, to throw the football. It was more or less, okay, we're not comfortable with you throwing the ball downfield just yet at the NFL level, which kind of scares me a little bit. So
especially on a team that wasn't going anywhere, you might as well see what you got, man.
Yeah, so might as well see what you got. But it was pretty much Derrick Henry or bust for that offense. My thing about Malik Willis is that the same problems that he had in college. He holds the ball too long. You can't do that in the NFL. You got to be a quick decision maker because you hold the ball too long, you can get sacked a lot. You can get hit a lot. And I know you're athletic, and I know you think you can get away with running, but those quarterbacks don't last long. They don't last a full 17 games in the regular season, as Lamar Jackson found out, as Jalen Hurts found out because he was out for a couple games, and all the other Kyler Murray. So. Yeah,
you either learn from people making that mistake or you find out the hard way. It doesn't work that way.
Absolutely.
Could this be a team that's in the Jimmy Garoppolo kind of area? Is this
possibly
could be in the Aaron Rodgers potential area? Like if could they be a team that's looking to trade?
They don't have enough weapons for Aaron Rodgers to even entice to. Like they still got to trade. You still have to trade for Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, we talked about this before. If the Packers don't trade Aaron Rodgers, are they one of those teams that once goes after Jordan Love? I think TJ's talked about this a few times.
Yeah.
Could they go get Jordan Love if he ends up staying on the Packers and Aaron Rodgers is still there?
Yeah. No, Jordan Love is definitely a hot commodity in NFL circles. I think from what he showed in the Eagles game, there's just a small sample size. The one game, no, but no. Even going back to last season, he played well against Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
He didn't play that well.
He played well enough for guys to be like, okay, he went against a Super Bowl champ. He went against a Super Bowl, defense.
Okay. I would say top three priorities when it comes to Tennessee Titans. What are your top three priorities?
Top three priorities, man. You definitely have to get more. You have to get more depth at the offensive line. I think the number one priority, though, in my opinion, is what are you going to do? We just talked about it. What are you going to do at the quarterback position? Are you going to go for it? Are you going to go forward with Malik Willis, or are you going to stay pat with Ryan Tannehill? That's first. And then the second thing, I think they need to get more depth at the tackle position as well. Another story, I want to do 4 storylines here because I know that they got this guy as the backup running back, but and I'm talking about Hassan Haskins. Yeah, but like Derrick Henry does need some help, So I mean, do you add another, running back? I don't know, but yeah, you need more depth at the tackle positions, and also you need an edge. You need some more, help at the edge rusher position too, because if I'm not mistaken, this team was at the bottom of the league in sacks and quarterback pressures.
I will find that out. But I agree with you. Number one priority for this team has to be figure out what you're going to be doing at quarterback next season and going forward. I mean, I don't think you can. I think the Ryan Tannehill era is over there in Jacksonville. So we'll see what ends up happening there. I also think priority number 2. I think the secondary needs to be totally overhauled, especially in the cornerback position.
That too.
And then the third one, I think you need. I think especially if you're going to cut Taylor Lewan, you need to figure out who the heir apparent is at right tackle and left tackle. Even though they did take the kid from Ohio State last year, that was pretty solid as their right tackle. Tennessee Titans had. Where are they even? Hold on, sorry. Tennessee Titans are like middle of the pack when it comes to sacks. 39 sacks. They're basically middle, like smack bang in the middle.
Smack bang 16th, 17th, something like that. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyways, I mean, in some games it just seemed non-existent, man. It just seemed.
It's true.
It just didn't seem like they
especially
were just
when we don't have Harold Landry. I mean, come on. He's your
best or Bud Dupree. So you need those 2 guys back. The health of those 2 guys is essential. And then also, like you said, he's trying to get more weapons on the outside for your quarterback to throw to. I know Treylon Burks is a nice weapon, but he's going to do so much. You're going to lose your tight end this year to free agency.
They went from having a team that
had Congo. They
had a bunch of tight ends. They went from having a bunch to having none.
And I mean, Checo Congo had that nice little 2-3 week stretch where he was catching touchdowns left and right, but he's not. I don't think he's the answer there. He's a good backup though.
I agree with you. Moving on from the Tennessee Titans, let's talk about the team that actually won this division, the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have their own picks, and they have a 4th-round pick from Tampa Bay. They have a 6th-round pick from Houston via the Jets. Then they have a 6th-round pick from Philadelphia, I think for Gardner Minshew, actually. And then they have a 7th-round pick from the Carolina Panthers, I believe, for Laviska Shenault. I think that's how they worked out. Notable free agents there on the screen: Evan Ingram, Marvin Jones, Dwayne Smoot, and Arden Key. Both the last 2 guys are defensive ends. Their projected cap space negative $22.75 million. So they're another team that's over the cap. Head coach Doug Peterson, Trent Baalke, GM, Mark Lamping is their team president. So how do the Jaguars approach free agency and the draft?
Well, definitely. I mean, let me say this: you're probably gonna lose Evan Ingram. He's probably gonna get paid by another team this season. So you're losing your tight end, and that sucks for Trevor Lawrence because he looked to Evan Ingram a lot this season. So you're gonna have to replace Evan Ingram, and I think that's what they do in the draft with the 24th pick. In free agency, man, I mean, continue. I would say Christian Kirk was a nice weapon. But I think they do need a true number 2 wide receiver. I know like Zay Jones, Marvin Jones is going to be a free agent. Zay Jones was okay, but he's slightly inconsistent. I think you need to try and get maybe see if you can get a Jacoby Myers or Nelson Aguilar.
I think you gotta remember is though that they traded for Calvin Ridley, who's going to be coming to this team next year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh wow.
Yeah, so they basically traded nothing to get Calvin Ridley from the Falcons, and he's going to be their number 1 when he gets here next season.
That is a interesting. I totally forgot about that dynamic to the Jacksonville Jaguars next season. They're going to have Christian Kirk and Calvin Ridley
and Zay Jones. All 3 of those guys.
Trevor Lawrence is a rich man next year.
Yeah, I mean, they got a steal on Calvin Ridley. They got some decent pieces on defense. I still think the secondary needs to be a little bit better.
Yes,
especially in the backs and the safeties. Trayvon Walker had a pretty solid rookie season as the first overall pick. They have the other Josh Allen, who's a very good player.
Rayshawn Jenkins is not that bad of a safety.
No, he's not.
Jenkins is okay. He's pretty solid.
He single-handedly won them a game last year.
Yeah, no, Rayshawn Jenkins is pretty solid. He had that game where, like you said, he had multiple picks.
Yeah.
Pick sixes.
I mean, he had that game against the Cowboys where he had that pick six. Potential cut candidates because they need to get under the cap. Shaquille Griffin to save $13.5 million. Roy Robertson Harrison, $7.8 million, and Rayshawn Jenkins, who we just talked about, they could save $6.3 million if they cut him.
I love the Jacksonville Jaguars young front seven though. You got Foyside Oluokun, you got Trayvon Walker, who drafted last year, #1 overall pick. You got Devin Lloyd from their other first round pick, or was he a second round pick last year from Utah?
First round pick.
Back end of the first round pick. Yeah. Back end of the first round. Yeah, I mean, Devon Hamilton at nose tackle, he's a space eater. The other Josh Allen, so I love their front seven. I think they get after it. We saw it in games last year where they got after the quarterback. And I think you're right. I think at the cornerback position, definitely in the back end, I think they need some depth there. Going into next season. And there's going to be some guys that they're over the cap a little bit. I mean, I know they can make things work. There's going to be some guys like, Jamal Dean's going to be available. I don't know if they go get Jesse Bates. I think he's going to want some big time money.
I think he's going to be too expensive for them.
Yeah, he's going to be way too expensive. I'm just looking at James Bradbury. From the season that he had, he may want a nice little pretty penny, a longer contract.
I think he's going to get tagged.
You think he's going to get tagged there in Philly?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to let him go.
I mean, you got a guy like Cameron Sutton that's out
Jimmy
there.
Ward, Adrian Amos. I mean, another guy who's going to be available.
Yeah, You got John. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I think, is coming back anyways for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I ain't even going to mention him. So I mean, you got some cornerbacks out there in the free agency.
I think both those guys are going to be back in Philly. Artie Burners has been a solid safety for corner for most of his career. Mike Hughes, a guy who's been a solid. Nothing really. Kyle Fuller, who's been okay, various locations where he's been.
Jamal Dean had a nice year last year. For he was probably one of the only bright spots on the defense last year. I think he's going to garner some money, or possibly get franchise tag. I don't know if he's eligible to get franchise tag by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they'd be stupid to try and let him walk. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. People don't usually franchise tag that particular position, but we'll see.
Right.
How about talk about top three? So we're talking about free agency in the draft. So we're talking about, what are the Jaguars? What do they need outside of,
on the draft? Well, outside another tight end, I saw some, I think they can go get, if Michael Myers still there, I don't think he'll be on the board at 24. A guy like Dalton Kincaid to still be there on the board. For them, I think they can go ahead and possibly go ahead and target him in the draft.
You saw what a dominant tight end did for Trevor Lawrence here in Jacksonville. If you can get another guy who's that same tight end, like they should be building up these weapons and trying to build up this offensive line. There are offensive linemen they could take with that 24th overall pick, which would be pretty good options there.
Yeah, no. At the offensive line, I mean, they can go guard. They can go with a guy like Osiris Torrance, who's the best guard probably in the draft. I forget who the kid is from North Dakota State, who's probably the second, but he'll be a reach in the first round, in my opinion. But we've seen some reaches go before. A guy like Antonio Johnson from Texas A&M be a nice little addition to safety. He's kind of a hybrid cornerback safety. From Texas A&M, a guy like Deontay Banks from Maryland is another guy. I'm just looking at some of these these guys that they might have that might be there late in the late first round. But definitely, I do believe that they're going to have to figure out what they're doing at that tight end position when Evan Ingram's out of there.
I mean, they could find a way to maybe potentially re-sign him. I just don't envision that being the case.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Absolutely
I think
not.
he's going to be
they have some. They have some. Yeah, they have some options though. Definitely down in a late first.
If they want to go corner, I mean, Brian Branch could potentially still be there from Alabama. Deontay Banks. I'm looking at Daniel.
He definitely might still be there. If Brian Branch is still there at 24, I don't know what the hell these teams were doing. I don't know how he gets passed up by
this
23 other
mock match
teams.
actually has the Cincinnati Bengals taking Michael Mayer at 28. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll still be there at 28, but that's one of these things. In this mock draft, Brian Breezy, the defensive tackle out of Clemson, goes to them. I can't imagine he's going to be there at 24.
Can't imagine he's going to be there at 24.
Unless he has like the worst combine ever. Like,
Absolutely. I mean, who's another a guy like Nolan Smith, who's another edge rusher from Georgia. They got plenty of edge rushers in Jacksonville. I don't see them adding another one like that.
No,
I
actually think they're besides this, like in the cornerback backfield, I actually think they're okay on defense. I would like to see them bolster up this offensive line, continue to add weapons under Trevor Lawrence, and just continue to building the offense that way. I actually kind of like their defense. If they can continue to get older and get younger and get the scheme more consistency. Let's talk top 3 priorities for Jacksonville this offseason.
Whoo, man, top 3 priorities, man. I think number 1 is the development of Trevor Lawrence. He took the next step, and this is just my top 3 priority. This is my top priority. I think where is Trevor Lawrence going to take this next year? He became a top 10 quarterback this past season. Can he take it to another level and be the next superstar of the league? A guy that everybody was highly touted since he was like a sophomore in high school to be this next Super Bowl superstar at every level, the college level and at the pro level. So I think the continued development of Trevor Lawrence, obviously the offensive line, they continue to build on the offensive line, and then also get more depth at the cornerback position, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have no arguments with you on priorities. Yeah, number 1, I think you got to continue to grow and develop Trevor Lawrence. It's got to be the number 1 priority when it comes to their offseason. Like the growth and develop Trevor Lawrence is going to take this team where he wants to go. And then building up this offensive line, where at times wasn't all that good this season. If you continue building up that unit, and then I think finding another tight end, because I don't think you're going to get Evan Ingram back. I think that should be a real big priority. Getting another solid tight end, a reliable pass catcher.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't even know who's in free agency. Let me see who's in free agency that they can possibly grab at the tight end position. Dalton Schultz, he's going to come back to Mike Gesicki.
I think he's going to be too expensive.
Hayden Hurst
is an option for sure. I mean, he's bounced around. This will be his 3rd team in 3 years.
Austin Hooper?
He has talent. Austin Hooper, I think I would rather address this in the draft and get somebody younger.
Right.
But I mean, all of those guys are. Irv Smith is a guy who's got some talent. You can take that guy who was kind of flamed out in Minnesota. You can see if you can revitalize him the way he kind of did with Evan Ingram. That could be an option.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. But I think in that first round, I think they do. I think they let Evan Ingram walk, and I think they do get a tight end. But if not, I think if Jacksonville really loves Evan Ingram, and I think that chemistry was there with him and Trevor Lawrence, I think you find a way to try and re-sign him.
I tend to agree with you on that. I think they should find a way to bring him back. Like, he was so valuable into the progression of this offense that I don't know if you necessarily want to lose that or not replace him with anybody proven.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so this has been our AFC South preview. We did the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts in a previous episode. If you want to just go back and check that stuff out, we almost got to every single team now. So keep an eye out for that content. We're going to do a off-season preview for every single team in the National Football League. In case you missed the show we ran earlier, we did a little XFL Week 1 recap, Week 2 prediction show. So keep an eye out for that stuff. We're all in on the XFL here at Prime Sports World. It is scratching me right where I itch, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love some of the rules. I wasn't on the first show. I really didn't watch a lot of the XFL, or really, don't know too much of the rosters to even make any predictions. I'll just be going off of names and jerseys pretty much at this point. But I love the 4th and 15 rule instead of the onside kick. If the NFL should really consider, I mean,
they're never going to. It's not going to happen.
Because of how advanced the NFL is, I think teams would be like, oh yeah, we're gonna go for 4th and 15 and just chuck it up and and David Tyree helmet catch type thing, right?
Yeah.
But no, I think that some of those rules, I mean, the 3-point conversion.
Yeah, I like that.
I love that.
No extra, PTA, like point after attempt. You either have the 1 point at the 1, 2 points at the 5, or 3 points at the 10.
That right there should really be considered looked at by the NFL. Yeah, because the last time the XFL was like a thing back in the early 2000s, they took the Skycam idea.
Yeah, they took a bunch of it. They did take a bunch of ideas from the XFL. So we'll see.
Yeah,
tomorrow episode is going to be the crossover. We're going to be doing a second half preview of what's going on in the National Basketball Association. We're going to talk about Nick Millen getting fired this morning. We're also going to talk about his name is totally escaping me. The kid is currently the coach of the Boston Celtics who got that interim tag dropped.
Joe Mazzulla.
Joe Mazzulla, thank you. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to preview the second half of the NBA season. Keep an eye out for that content. I'm David Huppman. Right there is the CEO, Prime Sports World, Mr. Israel Rivera, and my friend. When we do hit the prime, my friend,
we bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen, 24/7.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, all my friends on YouTube who checked us out, including Jags fan. We very much appreciate you checking us out here at Prime Sports World. And reminding us, Calvin Ridley's coming to the Jaguars next season. That is what's up.
Thank you for reminding us. I totally forgot about that equation to their offense next year. He is going to be big time for them.
I agree. He was awesome in Atlanta. So we'll see what happens. We'll be back here tomorrow. You guys all have a nice night and stay safe out there.
Stay safe out there, guys.
Peace out, brother.